we're going to do is do the maintain preference, maintain contacts. So I'm going to select maintain. I'm going to come up here and go to contacts. From contacts, I'm going to select new. And then what I'm going to do is select the categories. On here, I'm going to select adjusting company and adjuster. So all we need to do is fill this out. All right, and then I'm going to put my last name right here and my first name. All right, I'm not going to go into the mailing address or anything, but what is crucial is that you want to make sure that the information is in there, make sure your categories have been selected, and we're going to go to the other tab. From the other tab, I'm going to make sure that my NFIP number is listed, and as well as your state license number and the state that you have. So for example, I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to select Florida, and then I'm going to do a NFIP license number 999811111. So now that I have that selected, I just click on done. And then you can also click on new, and you can also put in, for example, the carriers that you're going to be working for. So for example, Allstate, State Farm, and then alike. You can put that all in there. Once we have that selected, we're going to click on the done button, and then we're going to go to maintain preferences. Maintain preferences. This is setting up your computer. The first thing that we want to need to do is make sure that we have a logo for the adjusting firm that you're working for. So for example, here I have a Simsol logo here that I am using. I'm going to drop on down to the GCO&P. I'm going to put in 10 and 10. Okay, that's real important because most flood claims are going to use a general overhead and profit in their estimates. Don't forget to put the exclude O&P on the non-recoverable depreciation from RCV totals. That's very important, or else you will get your files kicked back. Okay? I'm going to then come back to the loss information, and let me explain this screen here. This is if you go into a catastrophic situation, this left-hand side will actually address the loss date, the loss type. So I can select flood. The city, the state. Now, usually the city is not a big deal, but the state is. Maybe you're just going to be deployed in the state of Florida. Also, if there is a CAT number that's assigned to this loss, please put that in. You might have to readdress this because if the storm has just hit and you're in there, they might not have assigned a CAT number, but they will. Okay, and the other one is just make sure, it's important here that you put in your name. And where do you think this comes from? This comes up from the contact manager that you've already filled out. So it's important. That's why we went to contact manager first. Okay, and if you're working for a single adjusting firm, then you can select it. All right. Now, once we have that, we're going to proceed into notes. Notes is given to you by the IA firm, so please check with your firm to make sure that you have all the notes or templates. They might give you, what I've seen that's coming up is before you go out on storm, check base with your IA firms and see if they have a Simsol template in an SFZ format. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But if they do, you want to acquire that. That will include all the template groups that they want you to use without the storm period. Okay. Next thing is sales and other tax. Okay. So this is real important because in some states or in the National Flood Insurance Program, we only want to do material totals and equipment totals and not labor, profit, and taxable add-ons. Okay. Make sure you exclude sales tax on non-recoverable depreciation from RCV totals. That's very important. The sales tax rate, do not put anything in here because once you get into the loss and you get that assigned from the first notice of loss, there will be a sales tax button based upon by zip code. So you'll address that later. But you want to make sure you set your preferences up this way so that it will tax the appropriate categories. All right, so that's pretty much what we need to do, except for one more thing. I'm going to check out the minimum wage. Everybody forgets to do this is because if you're working for the NFIP, in this case, you're going to have to set your minimal wage amount, which is $7.25. This will be different from the various, if you're doing a wind claim for the state. So if you have the state of Alabama, you might have to pay $9 for a minimum wage, but the federal rate is $7.25. So just be aware of what you're working for. If you're working a homeowner's claim, look at the state. And if you're working for the NFIP, make sure it's set to $7.25. Okay. And for that, that's pretty much it for, and also you want to make sure one more time is the signature mentor. Forgot something there. Is that you've got your signature. So all you need to do is make sure it's in there. If you need to open up your signature, you can click on this button, open signature, and then find the signature and apply it. Okay. For new people that are just starting out in the NFIP, there is a mentor program. If you are doing that, please acquire the signature for your mentor. Okay. And he will give that for you. All right, once we do that, we click on done and we're good to go for our setup. I would like to now go into a couple things that will speed up the process.